Hello, welcome in or welcome back to my channel. My name is Deb from DG Reads and this is my furry sidekick Kylie. And we're here today because it is time for a massive book haul. Kylie's being chaotic, so we're going to let her do her thing until there's no space for her on this desk because it's going to be stacked with books. I've been doing really well this year so far, reading and unhauling more books than I haul. And this is the month where I think that's going to stop because somehow bookmail just took off this month. I don't even feel like I bought that much, but I guess I did. And I think part of it is the timing because I did film the last one early because of my vacation. So it feels like maybe there's more than there is. But I did haul 50 books during March, and I have some from February as well. And March isn't quite over yet, so we'll see how this goes. I'm going to go ahead and start with the books that I was gifted, and then we will move on to where I put some dollars in to add to my collection as well. First off, I wanted to highlight a couple of really fun, extra special books that I was gifted. First off, I received this lovely package from Dee Blankenship, and Dee is someone that I know from Bookstagram. She's actually the first person I met through Bookstagram that I then met in real life, which was a lot of fun. She introduced me to a lot of the Southern California crowd, and she's one of the people that I co-host our Classics Buddy Read over on Bookstagram with, and she has written a book, and this makes me so thrilled for her, and it's one I'm really excited to get to. It's The Austen Sisters by Dee Blankenship, and she gifted me a copy of this one. It comes out in April, and I'm hoping to get to it very, very soon, as in possibly starting it this weekend, so that makes me very thrilled. The blurb on the back says, "No one who had ever met the Austen sisters would have presumed them to be heroines of a novel unless, of course, they had read Jane Austen." And it's a contemporary reimagining of Jane Austen's beloved novels, Five Sisters, each embodying the spirit of Austen's heroines gather at the luxurious Mansfield Park Resort for their cousin Fanny's wedding. I am really excited to get into this. We are reading one of Jane Austen's books in April for our Classics Buddy Read, Sense and Sensibility, so the timing is just absolutely perfect. And then another fun one I received, this one comes from Cassidy at Covers with Cassidy, and I was very lucky to have guessed the closest in one of her Patreon readathons where we had to guess the amount of candy in a jar. And I purely used a random number generator to give me ideas of what it is because I'm horrible at actually guessing these things and I overthink it. But my guess got the closest, and therefore I got a gifted book from my wish list, and that is Eric LaRocca's The Trees Grew Because I Bled There. This is a story collection. I really have enjoyed quite a few of his story collections before, so I'm eager to get into this one. And then getting into the books I was sent by publishers, there's a mighty stack next to me. I have Dark Fever, Blood Fever, and Fae Fever. These are three of the books by Karen Marie Moning in a series. Obviously, this is one that definitely has me intrigued. I gather it is urban, it is fantasy, it is murder mystery, kind of. We've got a perfectly ordinary human woman and her sister's killed. She has a message that takes her to Ireland and she's looking for answers. And I received this set from Dell. From Scribner, I received The Unworthy by Augustina Bazterrica. I'm probably totally butchering that, but this is the author who wrote Tender as the Flesh, which I found really interesting and really enjoyed. And the publisher sent this along with some goodies. I got my Unworthy Thoughts, a little notebook. They also sent a pen and some matches that I didn't put in my book stack, but I am really excited to get into this book. The blurb on this one says, "From her cell in a mysterious convent, cloistered away from the climate catastrophe that has plunged the world into chaos, a woman writes her story in whatever she can find, discarded ink, dirt, and even her own blood." I don't need to know more than that to be excited. From Harper Perennial, I received Creep by Emma Van Straten, and this sounds like a very creepy truth in advertising kind of stalker story. We've got Alice and Tom are made for each other, deeply connected. They share a flat in London, go to galleries together, enjoy the same books and wine. They even share a toothbrush. All is picture perfect except Alice and Tom have never met. Alice is the woman who cleans his house, and this has me intrigued. From Bantam Books, I have You Are Fatally Invited by Andy Pliego, and this one is a writer's retreat on an island, which already had me intrigued, and then we have someone who turns up dead. I do like bookish books and books about authors and isolated settings, so this has lots of buzzwords for me. From Gallery Books, I have an arc for Her Wicked Roots by Tanya Pell, and this one is due to come out in October 7th, and it sounds like an isolated estate. There's rumors that the grounds are haunted, there's gardens, there's something creepy going on, no men allowed. Intrigued to find out more. From Random House, I have The Strange Case of Jane O by Karen Thompson Walker, and this is an author I've really enjoyed before. I don't know much going into this one, but it says it's a young mother who is struck by sudden and puzzling psychological symptoms that illuminate the mysterious dimensions of the human mind and of love. So I picked this one up purely based on the author, but I am intrigued. Things involving the mind always have me interested. From Harper, I have Anna O by Matthew Blake. This one is talking about the dream world and what happens in the dream world. It says, is she an innocent sleepwalker or a sleeping killer? And that alone has me definitely wanting to pick this one up. And then a book coming out soon. This one comes out in May. We have Whack Job, A Story of Axe Murder by Rachel McCarthy James. And this one, they get the winning vote this month for best packaging because this came with a rubber axe. And I just got so many good giggles out of that. I think the puppy stole it, so it's not actually sitting in my book stack, but I will be tracking that down to make sure to get it into a picture with this book once I read it. This is a history of axe murder, and really what do you need to know more than that and the creative title. Another May release is from Dial Press, and that is I'll Look So Hot in a Coffin and Other Thoughts I Used to Have About My Body by Carla Sosenko. And this one, I think the title says it all, and I'm intrigued to check it out. From Del Rey, I received Cursebound, and this is the sequel to Feybound, which I just recently finally read, so I really want to get into this one very soon. Matches my outfit fairly well. We're continuing to follow two sisters in the story, and I don't want to say too much because it is a sequel, but I'm eager to see where the story goes. I've got Sirens by Amelia Hart. This is the author of Wayward, which I really enjoyed, so I've been excited to get to this one. This one is set in two different time periods, 2019 and 1800. In 1800, we have twin sisters who are taken from their home in Ireland and put onto a convict ship for Australia. In 2019, we have Lucy who awakens in the middle of the night with her hands around her ex-lover's throat, and she flees to her sister. Very curious to see how these timelines line up. Another May release from St. Martin's Press, I have Hidden Nature by Nora Roberts. This one says it is a novel about an injured cop who must fight to bring down a pair of twisted killers. A June release from Tor is The Witch Roads by Kate Elliott. This one is following an arrogant prince and his equally arrogant entourage who gets stuck as part of political intrigue, and Elin is tasked with getting them to where they need to go, but Elin is a former slave. There's a lot of political issues. There's a journey involved. There's the arrogant prince who doesn't agree to follow suggestions, and it sounds like a journey adventure potential story with a lot of twists. We'll see. From Hogarth, I received Death Takes Me by Cristina Rivera Garza, and this one had me interested. It says, a city is always a cemetery. A professor named Christina stumbles upon the corpse of a mutilated man and reports it to the police. When shown crime scene photos, she sees a warning written in tiny print with coral nail polish. Beware of me, my love. Beware of the silent woman in the desert. Very interested to check this out. A July release from Tor Nightfire, The Library at Hellbore by Cassandra Kah. This is an author that I've had some wins from recently, also some that I did not love, so I'm intrigued to check this out, but the fact that it has library in the title definitely catches my eye. On the back it says, welcome to the Hellbore Technical Institute for the Gifted. For the next year you will be trained to function as people instead of monsters. This is your journey to redemption, to a future where you could be useful. I don't know what's going on in this, but I definitely want to find out. Next up from Valentine Books, I received Saltwater by Katie Hayes. I actually received this as an ARC and read it while I was on vacation. It is a very messy family drama with mystery elements, with a gorgeous setting, and definitely one I enjoyed reading by the pool. From Wednesday Books, I received a set, The Forest Grimm. And The Deathly Grim. I actually read and enjoyed The Forest Grim. I think it was during one of my procrastination projects, maybe? I could be wrong about that, but I did read and enjoy it. That I know for sure. So I'm eager to pick up the sequel for it and happy to have a lovely matching set. The premise of the first book, people in this world had a book that they could use to fulfill desires, but somebody used it for something bad, and the forest basically took the book back, shrouded in mystery and darkness and mist, something along those lines, and people are trying to get things back. From Gallery, I have a July 15th release, and that is One Yellow Eye by Lee Radford, and this cover really caught my eye. And it says, in the aftermath of a zombie epidemic, a brilliant scientist desperately searches for a cure to the virus while hiding a monumental secret. Her undead husband, the last of the known infected, whom she has locked in her guest room. I really enjoy a good zombie story. I really enjoy a zombie story with like some science and explanation and disease element to it. So this could very much be up my alley. From Tor.com, I received Rose House by Arkady Martine. This is the author who wrote A Memory Called Empire, which I really enjoyed. This is a short little novella. Rose House is a artificial intelligent house, and there's a body in it. That's really what I know going into it, but it definitely sounds up my alley. Also from Tor.com, I have one that's coming out in July, and that is Volatile Memory by Seth Haddon. This one, I think, also has an AI element to it. We have a woman who's kind of on her last leg. She needs a big payday, and she finds a mask, but apparently this mask has retained the memory of the woman who had worn it before, or something along those lines. It says it is a heart-filled, vengeful, sapphic adventure. From Valentine Books, I have I Leave It Up to You by Jin-Woo Chong, and this is a novel following a man who's been in a coma for 2 years. He wakes up, life is not as he remembers it. He hasn't seen his family in 10 years, and he goes back. It says, it asks the question, what if you could return to a point of a fateful choice, wiser than before, and find the courage to forge a new path? From Scribner, I received The Fire This Time by Jesmyn Ward. This is an author I absolutely have loved in the past, so I'm really excited to have this collection of essays and poems about race. I think her writing is always just gorgeous, and I am looking forward to picking this up. Also from Scribner, I have Mumbo Jumbo by Ishmael Reed. This one is set in 1920s New York. An epidemic known as Just Grew is sweeping the nation, a dancing plague, irresistible, joyful, and undeniably black. Naturally, the powers that be are having none of it. A repressive conspiracy is operating in the shadows to squelch this and its carriers, those being black artists and musicians. From Crown, I have Enough, Climbing Towards a True Self on Mount Everest by Melissa Arnott Reed. And this is a memoir type nonfiction. And following the author, she felt defeated by getting nearly to the top of Everest without the need for oxygen and then having to accept oxygen toward the last minute. It sounds like a lot of introspective thoughts and feelings about this journey. From Tor.com, I have a little novella, Murder by Memory. A mind is a terrible thing to erase. This is by Olivia Waite, and it is really little, and it sounds just really intriguing. Welcome to the Fairweather, Her Majesty's most luxurious interstellar passenger liner. Room and board are included. New bodies are graciously provided upon request. And should you desire a rest between lifetimes, your mind shall be most carefully preserved in glass from the library, shielded from every danger. What could possibly go wrong? From Tor, I also have Gifted and Talented by Olivia Blake, and this one, the cover just grabs my eye every time I see it. It says it is the story of three siblings forced to reckon with their long festering rivalries, dangerous abilities, and the crushing weight of all their unrealized adolescent potential. From Del Rey, I have The Rag Picker King by Cassandra Clare. I just finally read Swordcatcher this month, so I'm excited to be able to pick up the sequel pretty quickly. From Gallery, I have an August release, and that is The Unseen by Ania Alborn. This is an author I've really enjoyed horror from before. This one says it is following a mother reeling from a devastating loss. She's lost in Greece when a mysterious orphan appears at the outskirts of their property. They take this child in, but then the family starts to realize there's something strange going on. Something's bending reality. It says it's a haunting tale that walks the line between the familiar and the unknown, drawing us into a chilling narrative where reality itself feels out of reach. From Knopf, I have a September release, and that is Good and Evil and Other Stories by Samantha Schweblin and translated by Megan McDowell. This says it is an uncanny, captivating masterpiece from the winner of the 2022 National Book Award for Translated Literature. And it's 6 lucid, strange, and supple stories to lure us into the shadows so that we may confront the monsters of everyday lives ourselves. From Gallery, I have The Deathless One by Emma Hamm, and this one is due to come out in August. It has on the back, "Magic always has a price. I want to see you burn your kingdom down." And it says it's slow burn, forced proximity, badass princess wielding black magic, demon shadow daddy with a tortured past, and a deal with the devil. From the Dial Press, I have The Tell by Amy Griffin. This is nonfiction, a memoir, and a woman who is going into her past and trying to retrieve traumatic memories and allow that to head towards healing. From Bantam Books, I have Claire Darling by Callie Kazumi, and this one we are following a woman who has been ghosted. And it says this is a story of obsession, love, and murder, but not the one you're expecting. Claire goes to surprise her fiancé with a lunch at work and finds out he doesn't work there and he has a whole other life that doesn't factor her in, and goes from there. From Harper Perennial, I received Sleeping Giants by Renee Denfeld. We are following a woman who is trying to find out about her birth family. She was adopted as a baby and didn't even know she had a brother or that he had died. And there's a detective who is willing to help her look into this, and the story ensues from there. And a fun little one I got from Castle Point Books is the Jane Austen Insult Guide for Well-Bred Women by Emily Reed. It says serving tea with a side of scorn. And this is a collection of little quotes from Jane Austen and her various writings, and a suggestion of occasions when they can be used to add that bit of scorn in. A June release from Gallery, I have Proof by John Cohen. This is a thriller, I believe a legal thriller. Sounds like we're following a detective who's had a rough go of it. He tried to prove his father was corrupt and it didn't go well. He's a drunk. He's fine with being a drunk, but then his best friend is killed and he's accused of the crime. From Bramble, I received a copy of Firebird by Juliet Cross. This is quite a beautiful edition. It got a little bit mushed in the shipping process, but it still is very gorgeous on this cover. This one is actually a buddy read from Mel at Melanor Reads Patreon for April, so I will definitely be picking this up very soon. It says, a conqueror captivated, a witch prophesied to save them all, a world where dragons rule Rome. From Scribner, I received a copy of The Great Gatsby by F. Scott Fitzgerald. This is a classic that I have read before, but it's been a very long time and I would love to revisit it. And it is the 100th anniversary edition, so I needed this, of course, for my shelves. From Valentine Books, I have Our Beautiful Boys by Samir Pandaya, and this one says, when star players on a high school football team are accused of violence by another student, their secrets and the secrets of their parents threaten to shatter their entire community in a novel of race, class, and privilege. So it sounds like it could be a very interesting and complicated read. From Random House, I received So Easy, So Good by Arash Hashemi, and this is 100 plus protein-packed Mediterranean favorites with low-carb twist. I am looking for more low-carb recipes to add to my repertoire, and this is definitely calling to me. It has some really gorgeous photos in it. And the fact that it's low carb and it still has a rice and pasta section, definitely up my alley. So I look forward to checking some of these out for sure. And then also from Random House, I got Super Italian by Giada De Laurentiis. I really enjoy her cookbooks. I own several of them already, and this is more than 110 indulgent recipes using Italy's healthiest foods. I generally like the fact that she does have healthy recipes, but everything in moderation kind of approach to things as well. So I will absolutely be adding some to my menu. I love Italian food and I love making Italian food. From Scribner, I received The Usual Desire to Kill by Camilla Barnes. Honestly, the llamas on the cover are what drew my attention to this one. I thought it was a fun cover, and there's always the opportunity to try to put Kylie into a llama costume. This one says it is an often hilarious, surprisingly moving portrait of a long married couple seen through the eyes of their wickedly observant daughter. From Simon & Schuster, I received a copy of The Perfect Stranger by Megan Miranda. This is an author that I have really enjoyed in the past, and this is a more backlist title, I believe, that I haven't picked up yet. We have a woman whose career has imploded. She runs into an old friend who offers her the opportunity to start over and come to rural Pennsylvania where there's teaching positions available and no one knows her past or her friend's past. And then there's a string of crimes. This friend disappears and our main character realizes how little she knows about this friend, how little anybody knows about this friend. I don't know. It sounds like a gripping read. We are almost at the end of this stack. And for a July release from Harper Perennial, I have A Mother Always Knows by Sarah Strohmeyer. And this one sounds like it's a little bit cult-y. We've got a main character who appears to be your average woman working at a public library, worrying about making rent. No one would suspect she's been living under an assumed name or that she was raised in a Vermont commune of diviners. Whereas a 10-year-old, she witnessed her mother's brutal murder, a crime that has gone unsolved for years. This one says it's an electrifying novel of psychological suspense that explores the way our past shape our future in so many unexpected ways. And then the last of our gifted books is from Bramble, and this one is due out in July, and it is Never the Roses by Jennifer K. Lambert. This one says it is a sorceress haunted by unforgivable sins, a sorcerer caught in the wars of men, a treacherous connection that might be their ruin. It's The Witch's Heart meets Circe, both of which I really enjoyed. It says it's a epic romantic fantasy debut that will crush your heart only after reminding you that true love is all about sacrifice. So as you can see, I did not lie to you that this is a lot of books. And still we have the ones that I actually purchased. So let me reset and grab those and we will continue. Okay, now for the books that I have purchased in the last month or two, and I've already had a couple of these books slide off, so if there's any crashes, we won't be too surprised. The January Fairy Loot book was Immortal by Sue Lynn Tan. I think I got it a little bit late. I unboxed it a little bit too late to get into my last haul, but it says a deadly betrayal, a dangerous alliance, a fight for survival. Got some pretty pages in here, really pretty naked hardcover as well, and gorgeous sprayed edges. On the back it just says, what the gods did not give us, I would take. From Book of the Month, I picked up Wild Dark Shore by Charlotte McConaughey. I really have enjoyed this author in the past, and I've seen people really enjoying this one, so I have high hopes for it. This is set on an isolated island near Antarctica where there is a seed bank, the world's largest seed bank, and ocean levels keep rising. Most of the inhabitants have left, and then there's a storm and a woman washes up on shore. And then for my free Book of the Month finalist book, I picked up The Wedding People by Allison Espat. This is a book that I have been wanting to get to. I do have the audiobook for it, but since I did need to pick one of the books of the finalists to get free in my box, went ahead and picked this one up. It's a woman who's not invited to a wedding, who goes to this wedding, and it changes her life. It changes other people's lives potentially. I'm intrigued to find out. I've heard a lot of people really enjoying it. From Twisted Retreat, I received Welcome to Meadowbrook by Cassandra L. Thompson. This is a very pretty special edition. We've got metallic corners. We've got this. The end papers are quite lovely. A bunch of keys. On the back, it just says, Beware the Illusion of Time. Gorgeous edition. It doesn't have a synopsis, so I can't tell you much about it, but consider me intrigued. And then also from Twisted Retreat, I received Hush My Darling by Leigh Kenny. And another really pretty edition here as well. Haunting end papers. This one does say a little bit on the back. In the pursuit of peace and family ties, American tourist Megan goes on a road trip around Ireland. When she becomes stranded deep in the mountains, the Brogan family come to her rescue. But is it luck or is Megan's nightmare just beginning? In a really fun author event, I picked up Glow of the Everflame by Penn Cole. I got to see Penn Cole in conversation with Kelly Hart and had this one autographed for me. me. I wound up reading this one on my Kindle. I didn't take this all the way to Mexico, but I read it during my vacation. Absolutely loved it. Really excited to pick up book 3, The Dark Mirror by Samantha Shannon. This is the new installment in the Bone season, and I cannot wait to pick this up, and yet somehow I still haven't, and I didn't put it on my April TBR. So we'll see when exactly I get to this one, but I'm super excited for it. And then I have Fable at the End of the World by Ava Reed. This is an author I have really enjoyed before, and it was such a stunning edition that I could not pass it up. It says the Lamb's Gauntlet is a live-streamed assassination spectacle, and the next lamb has been chosen. Very intrigued. From Nightworm, I received The Unworthy, and this one you've seen before because I did get the box from the publisher as well, but this one does come with the signed book plate, and I will be reading one of my 2 editions. And then also from Nightworms, I received The Lamb by Lucy Rose. This one says it is a folktale, a horror story, a love story, and enchantment. It says it's a contemporary queer folktale about a mother and daughter living in the woods. From Once Upon a Book Club box, I have The Undoing of Violet Claiborne by Emily Critchley, and this is a subscription box that sends books out, and as you're reading them, you do get to certain pages, sometimes with playlists. This one looks like it has a playlist type of barcode in it, and also opportunities to open a gift. And I find these really fun. They sometimes bring me books that I would not have had on my radar otherwise. This one is set in 1938. We are following a young woman away at boarding school. She becomes enraptured with her new roommate, who is Violet Claiborne from the title, and invited to come home with her on break, and finds out there's something dark going on with this family. I picked up Alice by Christina Henry when Target was having a book deal going on, and this is Christina Henry's take on some of the C.S. Lewis novels. Another one I grabbed from Target was The Yacht by Sarah Goodwin. This I have planned for something vloggy coming up, and this one is following a group of women who rent a luxury yacht in an Italian marina. They party, they get drunk, and then they wake up to find someone has set them adrift. There's no gas, there's no fuel, no land in sight, and a lot of tension. And then another January book from Fairy Loot was Cruel is the Light, Epic is Their Love, Endless is Their Power. This is by Sophie Clark, and again, quite beautiful. This one says, they say love conquers all, but can love win in a war between demons and exorcists, or will it tear them all apart? Demons, exorcists, definitely more intriguing to me than the love portion of it, but we shall see how it goes. Another one I picked up from Book of the Month is The Favorites by Lane Fargo. Lane Fargo is an author that I really loved once before, didn't so much care for one of her other books, but I've been hearing fantastic things about this one, so I definitely needed to pick it up. We're following a couple, I believe, in ice skating, Olympic level ice skating, and whatever it is, I'm going to be reading it and hopefully enjoying. Another one that I picked up from Once Upon a Book Club box is The Family Inside by Katie Garner. This one appears to be a thriller. It says it takes a special family to turn a home into a nightmare. I will also throw in, which I didn't before, that I do have a discount code, and DG Reads 10 will get you 10% off your first order from Once Upon a Book Club box. In the very first Illumicrate Starbright box, I received Death of the Author by Nnedi Okorafor. This is a book that had been on my radar already, so when it was announced as a special edition, I of course was excited to grab this box. This is a new quarterly sci-fi box, and we've got sprayed edges on it. It says, stories were the greatest currency to us, greater than power, greater than control. Stories were our food, nourishment, enrichment. To consume a story was to add to our code, deepen our minds. I don't remember what exactly put this on my radar, but it is sci-fi and it involves storytelling. I'm guessing there's going to be a little bit of a story within a story, with the naked hardcover appearing as if it's coming from someone else, and I will find out when I read it. Another recent Target acquisition was Devil in the Dark Water by Stuart Turton. This is the author who wrote Evelyn Hardcastle, and I really enjoyed that one, so I've been wanting to check out this one as well. It's 1634, and the world's greatest detective is being transported to Amsterdam to be executed for a crime he may or may not have committed. And while they're at sea, things begin to happen, and that's really all I know about it, but I'm looking forward to reading it. And then because I needed to meet a minimum order to get the deal from Target, I also picked up Jackalope Wives by T. Kingfisher. This is a short story collection, and I am reading a lot of short stories. And, you know, it's kind of a bunny for Easter bunny season. Those were the kind of thoughts that went into picking this one to add to the order. From Illumicrate, I received Capitana by Cassandra James. This sounds like it is a anti-pirate story. The main character, I think, hunts down pirates who are causing trouble. And I like the map as the naked hardcover on there. And it is signed on the inside and all of that as well. From Fairy Loot, I received The Scorpion and the Night Blossom. And this is by Amelie Wen Zhao. Probably doing that wrong. I know I've read this author before. The tagline says, "The immortality trials are about to begin." It says, "The immortality trials offer a second chance to a brutal world and are open to any mortal willing to risk the journey to the immortal realm. The prize for completing them is eternal life. However, they first must survive." I love a good trials book, so this has me wanting to pick it up. And then our other February Fairy Loot book is The Rose Bargain by Sasha Payton Smith. And this one has a very different color palette to it. Very soft and kind of springy. It says, "When one makes a fairy bargain, one must be prepared to pay the price." Sounds like it is historical fantasy romantasy. And then last but absolutely certainly not least is Heat of the Everflame by Penn Cole. Certainly not least in terms of pages. This is book 3 and I am super excited to pick this up. I had this pre-ordered, was thrilled when it showed up at my door, but also we don't have a release date on book 4 and I'm a little nervous to read this and then have a cliffhanger and then have to wait for who knows how long. I'm hoping we'll get an announcement relatively soon as to when we're going to get book 4, and then I will definitely be adding this to my TBR soon. So, you can't even see them all. But I have a lot of books here and I am super excited for so many of these. Thankfully, there's like 1 or 2 in here I've already read, so that helps a little bit. But I need to get these all logged. I need to get them on TBRs really quickly. I do have a little bit of space in my April TBR to hopefully squeeze a few of them in and then get to a lot more super soon. I definitely will have some more architects coming to get to some of these arcs, and in general, lots of reading to be done. Let me know in the comments below, are any of these on your radar? Have you read any of them? Are you looking forward to any of them? Let me know all of the things, or let me know what your most recent exciting book mail was. Is there something I should be adding to my TBR also? Because clearly I don't have enough. And if you've made it this far and you don't have anything to comment, go ahead and give me a fire-related emoji for my most recent book acquisition, Burn of the Everflame. If you could hit that like button below, I would surely appreciate it. And subscribe if you're interested in more of my book hauls, my thoughts on some of these books, and my bookish content in general. But for now, I'll leave you here and see you over soon in a new video.